What was his bad day? Where did he get his skills and resources from? And how does no one know who he is? What is the truth behind the scars? I've studied literally every fan theory and clue imaginable. And you know what, guys? I think, well, almost every single one of them. I think I found it. I think I found the only true and reasonable origin story that would have maybe been in the back of the minds of the writers and Heath Ledger himself when making this movie, okay? There are two key pieces of information that everyone misses when questioning what is the origin of the Dark Knight's Joker. Before we get started, let me address the elephant in the room. A lot of people are going to say, what is the point of this video, Zappy? The whole point of the Joker is that he is a man who's designed to be unknowable. It's good that his past is unknown. That makes him a better villain. That's the whole point. He could be anybody. His identity doesn't matter. We don't need to know. Listen, I understand. I agree with you. It's kind of like the Quiet Place aliens, right? You don't know where they come from. They're here, and they're just what they are services the story on its own. We don't need to get into the past. It's not meant to be written. The writers themselves didn't even think about the origin. I get it. I understand. And the Dark Knight is my goat. I agree with the point that his origin story shouldn't really matter. The problem is, I'm schizophrenic and a coke addict. You're not talking to a man with a social life here, okay? I'm a man who delves into the world. I could make a channel just on the Dark Knight itself alone. Please, bear with me here. I am about to cook it, okay? Let's start with what we know about Heath Ledger's Joker, okay? He's highly skilled with explosive firearms and urban warfare tactics. We know this. He understands psychological warfare better than almost any villain I've seen. He knows interrogation techniques and strategy. He knows the military marching and firing procedures during that funeral for the former mayor or whatever, right? When he was shooting and all that stuff. He knows this shit. Also, his thugs, his goons, who the hell are they? What kind of goons will sit back and watch you burn all this money? They have to be people who are beyond money and motivation. They have to be joining for a cause. So there might have been former soldiers that were with him that he knew of, that he knew he could manipulate into joining his cause, okay? But it probably also involved a bit of cult programming. Heath Ledger's Joker probably had experience knowing some terrorist leaders and dealing with some terrorist leaders who did the same thing with their armies, right? Some resistance groups and such, right? He probably had to learn all this, okay? So it's very easy to say, okay, this dude was an ex-soldier and he was traumatized from the events that happened and it made him crazy and he became the Joker. It's not that simple. That shit's just the tip of the iceberg, y'all. It is not that simple. What about this stuff? He easily outmaneuvers the police. He knows the law enforcement procedures. He has underworld connections. He isn't tied to a specific gang, but he knows how to infiltrate them left and right. He knows how to launder money and infiltrate criminal enterprises. Okay? This is not something soldiers necessarily would know, right? This is someone who has a background that's a bit more complex. No records. They couldn't trace anything on this man. They couldn't find an ID. They don't know who the hell this is. How? There are two key pieces of information, like I said, that everyone misses, and we're going to go through them, right? Number one, and this is the most important video I might ever make on my channel, y'all. This scene when he confronts Harvey Dent in the hospital after Harvey Dent's face has been blown off, half of it. When I watched this, I basically was watching a dude tell another dude, I brutally murdered your girlfriend, your to-be wife, but it's not my fault. That's literally what I witnessed this dude do. This guy literally convinced a man whose girlfriend he just blew up. I did it. We both know I did it. But you can't blame me, bro. This is the craziest. This is a simulation. This isn't real. When I watched this, I was like, there's no way this would never occur. This has to be like a dream sequence. In 5 minutes, Heath Ledger was able to flip this man to his side. Well, maybe not necessarily his side necessarily, but to flip his entire worldview in 5 goddamn minutes, his perception of everything that just went down. Are you kidding? Bro, there are literal salesmen, high-level salesmen that could learn from this scene. Jordan Belfort himself in his prime probably watches this scene before going into a high-level sales negotiation or some shit. This is insane. When I saw this, I was like, this is not believable. There's no way this would have happened. But then I was like, maybe I'm just the idiot, because I was reading a book called Never Split the Difference. written by an FBI hostage negotiator named Chris Voss. Okay, this is so important. This is so important. And in this book, I was looking at the tactics used in high-level negotiations for negotiating win-win scenarios. This guy would negotiate with terrorists that were taking hostages, okay? This guy had people he knew get kidnapped, all right? This guy went through it. He's a veteran in the game. So he was going through all these tactics, and I was looking at the mirroring, accusation audit. I was looking at the meanings of this, and I was like, holy shit. The Joker was doing this to Harvey Dent the whole time. Watch. Mirroring, repeating the last few words. Now, he doesn't actually do this through words. He does it through nods. At the end, when Heath Ledger is showing him, you live with one coin with the heads, or you die with the tails, Heath Ledger is nodding along. He's literally agreeing with his ideology. Accusation audit, right? He gets the elephant in the room out of the way right in the get-go. He gets the fact that he killed Rachel out of the way first. The no strategy. He asks questions that he knows Harvey Dent would agree with, that he knows are blatantly false. Like when he's talking about one little mayor will die. Why do people care about that more than a truck full of soldiers blowing up, right? He starts giving in all these scenarios in the form of questions that make Harvey agree with him, right? Bending reality, same thing. When he uses the truckload of soldiers, and he talks about what's fair. What does society deem fair? What are the authorities that screwed you deem fair, right? The black swan. He doesn't know that Gordon himself is corrupt. He knows that there are some corrupt people in Gordon's unit, but he doesn't know Gordon himself is corrupt. But he still insists Gordon has plans. Neither him or Harvey really know what Gordon's plans are. As far as both of them know, Gordon could be corrupt or he could not be, but he uses that to his advantage because he knows both of them have equal knowledge about this, and he uses it perfectly. Gordon has plans. He's a schemer. I'm not a schemer. This is how well he manipulates reality, okay? This shows high-level negotiation experience. High level. You cannot tell me this man has not done this to people before. He's probably done this to way more radical people. You have to believe it. And the second thing is, they have nothing on him. How? Why? Well, that could be explained in The Dark Knight Rises. Y'all remember Daggett? Daggett, that one CEO, the corrupt dude who was working with Bane, trying to take over Wayne Enterprises. Remember Catwoman was after him for something? Do you remember what that was? She was on his ass about the clean slate. This program that would erase your past, give you a fresh start, and you can go anywhere, right? This seems like this is a very interesting thing. By the way, how the frick did Bruce have this? How did he take control of this and give it to her? Was it ever explained in The Dark Knight Rises? There's a lot of shit that wasn't explained in this movie, y'all. You could tell me in the comments if this was ever explained. I don't know how Bruce actually got Daggett's clean slate. But anyways, this clean slate reminds me of government protocols used for agents that are undercover. You wipe any trace of them so that no terrorists or anything could match them, so that when they're undercover, they're like ghosts, right? And it would make sense that my boy Heath, the Joker, had experience going undercover, because like we mentioned already, he knows about how to infiltrate crime lords, crime enterprises. He must have had some undercover experience with that, and also the high-level negotiation experience, right? He would have had to go undercover at some point, and he would probably be very familiar with something like the clean slate, a government protocol that maybe Daggett bought from a corrupt government official. That's very likely that's something like that could happen, right? Some Jason Bourne level shit. So what does this all mean? Here's the origin story. Heath Ledger, Joker. Let's call him Arthur Fleck for this one, okay? Arthur was a former Gotham resident who, out of a sense of patriotism and duty, decided to enlist in the U.S. military, okay? And he was getting ridiculed, mentally broken here, but the training was so rigid, it was a crazy life. And he saw the horrors of war firsthand. Brothers in arms dying left and freaking right. It traumatized him to the point where after a couple years in, he decided he had to leave, okay? But the problem is, after he left, after the wars were all done, he didn't know what to do with his life. He's a veteran patriot who feels like he was just thrown out to dry. He has a good relationship with a girl, but he feels like he's being more and more detached from her as the days go by because of his fragile mental state. The therapist doesn't even know what to do. He doesn't know what to do in the therapy room. She's trying to help him, and he doesn't know. He doesn't know what to do. He feels like he needs a lifeline again. He needs something to do. He needs a sense of duty again. So he decides, okay, I need to work with the government in some capacity that isn't being a soldier. So I'm going to work for the intelligence. I'm going to work for the CIA. And this would see him going undercover, infiltrating various crime organizations and all that. But also, additionally, it would see him do a lot of hostage negotiations, a skill that he would have to build up over time. Okay, and he got very, very good at it. But at some point, something went terribly wrong during one of these negotiations where there was like a high level shit going on, where a lot of lives were on the line. His government and the people he was negotiating with, they all screwed up. They all screwed him, essentially. They all screwed him. Both mistakes were made on both sides, and it got all of his hostages killed. He failed this task. The government failed this task. Everyone failed, but he was the scapegoat. Everyone blamed him and blacklisted him from the government. He was essentially equivalent to like a burn notice, right? Was put on him. It destroyed everything. His legacy, his reputation got tarnished. This destroyed any lifeline he had to. Remember, this was a man who needed a sense of duty. He needed something to do. Without that, he felt like his life was drowning. His girlfriend leaves him because his relationship falls apart. Everything around him falls apart. This is the equivalent to his bad day, because he's been screwed over by the people he fought for his entire life, and he saw all the horrors of humanity firsthand while dealing with terrorists and seeing the horrors of war. Everything has gone to a melting point with him now. So a lot of people say, man, it would be cool if maybe Heath Ledger's Joker got scarred during the war, you know? And no. I feel like it'd be way scarier if he scarred himself, manifesting his internal scars literally, right? Because of his instability, his breaking point. That would make him way more terrifying if it was self-inflicted, okay? So at some point, after doing all this, he goes crazy and decides to come up with a plan. He steals the clean slate. Maybe he has some connections in the department, whatever, and he finds a way to steal a clean slate. One program of it, right? The beta program, whatever. And he disappears, he ghosts, and he takes that time to scheme and plan. His plan is revenge. And he goes after Gotham specifically because that's where he was born. That's like the center point to his entire life, right? That was his home. It would make sense. US soldier turned intelligence operative, turned scapegoat, betrayed by his country, became the goddamn Joker. Come on. Is that reasonable? That sounds like a very reasonable theory to me. What the?
Hi.
Oh, God.
Listen, I don't want there to be any hard feelings between us, Safi. You know what I am? I'm Ask Scare, a little cartoon reviewer who talks about Ben 10. I don't review Dark Knight. I wouldn't know what to do with it if I watched it.
All right, here. Come on. You wanted to do this collab. We're doing it. Let's,
You know, my father was a drinker and a fiend. Now, one night he goes off crazier than usual.
Jesus Christ. Let's get this collaboration going, please. Please!
Alright, if I'm gonna do this, we'll have to start a little earlier than that. The Dark Knight is one of my favorite films of all time. I've always been a big fan of Christopher Nolan, and I can say proudly that Memento was one of the inspirations that got me into YouTube and filmmaking more broadly. He's a great director, and sometimes, actually quite often, he hits the sweet spot with some great casting choices, stellar cinematic techniques, phenomenal dialogue, and developed characterization that hits home like nothing else. One of those scenes is the hospital scene involving Joker and Harvey Dent, which really marks the first time these characters interact up to this point. After Joker kills Rachel quite gruesomely, and half of Harvey's face is blown to hell, Joker decides to create more anarchy by putting a bounty on the mayor of Gotham if Batman doesn't turn himself in, or he'll blow up a random hospital in the city. And so, the scene is interwoven with all sorts of drama, including Batman getting into a car accident to save the mayor, but the main drama comes with Joker and Harvey's conversation. I'm sure you've all seen it before. Heath's unbelievable performance is coupled with Aaron Eckhart's fantastically underrated Two-Face, as they both perform at the top of their game here. The major themes of these two characters is put in a giant clash, the fairness of Harvey Dent and the chaos of the Joker. Joker tells Dent that, and presents himself as an agent of chaos who upsets the established order. He appeals to Harvey's lust for fairness, and relates to his passion by correlating anarchy with equality. After everything Dent's been through, despite having his whole life destroyed by Joker, he can still see that Commissioner Gordon's so-called justice system is slow and useless, and so he demands retribution from this cruel world in the form of fairness, which, as Joker says, can only come from anarchy in the streets. He brings up the order, the plan, the matrix, if you want to call it that if a truckload of soldiers or a gangbanger are killed, nobody panics, because they've all been accustomed to it. Joker even puts a gun to his own head, with his life being in Harvey's hands, as Harvey flips the coin on his fate. While it may seem that Harvey is in control, Joker actually has full agency in the situation. He still holds the gun, quickly observes the coin to see what his fate will be, and the bastard got lucky, of course, but he didn't give Dent the chance to even pull the gun on him first. By doing it himself, he corrupted Dent into believing his lies about fairness. His ultimate goal is turning Gotham's White Knight into its villain, as he says at the end of the film. Joker succeeds from this scene forward. The scene is the ultimate tipping point in Harvey's character. As Dent was the final hope for a legal and moral justice system in Gotham, Joker strips that away through his lies and manipulation. The whole scene is a giant contradiction. Joker claims not to be a planner, not to be a schemer. But if we learn anything from the whole film, it's that he's the most meticulous, evil orchestrator in the entire thing. The whole bank heist is an example of this. The whole movie is Joker creating more and more convoluted plans to destroy Gotham. He absolutely is a schemer, just not in the way everyone expects. And boy, did I mention that CGI? Everyone always says Nolan doesn't use CGI, but man, when he does, it's a thing of beauty. That is phenomenal. Back to you, Zaffy. Back to you, Zaffy Taffy.
Well, thank you for that, Air. Thank you for coming in and taking my video hostage. I appreciate you. Air is a solid guy, solid YouTuber, makes a lot of great content. Please check out his YouTube channel. I'll put the link in the description. Thank you, Air, for your much welcomed inclusion to my video. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movie theories with like-minded individuals in a community geared towards changing storytelling itself, join the free Discord now. The link is in the description below and probably in the comment section too. Join the Discord now. We're taking over Hollywood one Coke line at a time. See you on the other side.